Welcome back, everyone. I'm the host of the Truth That Heals podcast, and today I wanted to speak with you about my experiences in an end times cult. So, the founder of this movement, the Alliance of the Two Hearts, Father Bing, I pray for him, but I need to share what I've been through, what I've seen, what I've experienced. And in the beginning, when I was there, I joined because I really truly believed that this was an authentically Catholic or Christ like movement, and I was fully mentally in. And now that I'm out, it's taken a long time for me to process what I went through and to kind of distinguish what things were Catholic and what things were a little bit way too much of an extreme, and how some things were manipulated in a way to get recruits. So I think it's just right for me to just share my story, and here it goes. So first thing Father Bing will do at the retreats is expose all of the problems, all of the chaos that is happening in the world. That's step one. Why? Because they want to introduce fear into your world. Perhaps you're living a normal life. Maybe you're a Catholic, maybe not. But the idea is to get the listener to start living in fear that everything is going to uh, just go terribly wrong. So he'll bring forth the idea of fear in two ways. One is presenting how all the money, all the banks, everything is run by Freemasons, Illuminati. And are these things true? I don't know. Are they fact? I don't know. These are, I guess you can call them conspiracies or conspiracy theories. Is there truth to them? I don't know. But he'll really be pushing this. And the idea is to get the listener to see that sooner or later, my money isn't going to be worth anything because of all the chaos and because just everything is going to collapse. Then there's going to be kind of like, what's that HBO show, that one game, the Last of Us, kind of like that, where everyone is going to be out against each other, looting, violence. So that's the first thing. Bring the fear that their money isn't going to be worth anything sooner or later. Second, he'll bring, like, when you go to his talks, to his retreats, what are the things that they show you? Do they show you the gospel? Do they show you Christ's love? They do a little bit, but like the majority of the stuff, 99% of the stuff is the chaos, war, and he'll show like images, videos of things that can be traumatic if you haven't seen such violent videos or bloody images. So they'll be showing that, and the audience is supposed to be shocked. Now that's the goal. First is to make them think that, oh, my money isn't going to be worth anything soon, and the world is going to be just a battleground. Now what's the solution? Now we're getting somewhere. The solution is, prayer, fasting. But the way they introduce this is not, for me, I don't find it to be truly Catholic or truly Christian, because they drive it to a point where it becomes like, you can do that, but it's better to do it with our group, and we have this message, and then he'll bring up another problem. So the first problem is what's happening in the world, the battlefield, and even he'll even bring it to the family. So now there's a battlefield in the family. Now it's going to come to a spiritual battleground. Now he's going to say stuff like, now that you've heard this message, now that you're doing this, the devil is going to try to deceive you. The devil is going to try to take away this beautiful message. So be careful. So you're going to have to be alert for spiritual attacks. They introduce this fear again to start a divide, because now you're thinking, well, everything is going to go bad. My money is not going to be worth anything. My family is going to be divided. Now, also, these demons are going to be out against me. So the way this movement is constructed is they'll say that they're Catholic. They'll go to Catholic parishes. Hey, we do retreats, and they talk about prayer. Fine, nothing wrong with that. But once you are attending, it creates this us versus them mentality, because then Father Bing will talk about how, oh, not all priests are totally for us, not all bishops are totally for us, everyone's against us, but we need to practice obedience. And the way he talks about obedience isn't really to the church, because when I was with this movement, bishops of certain dioceses, several, would say you're not allowed here anymore. Like in the case of in Dover, Delaware, in Wilmington, also in Los Angeles. And the idea that Father Bain will give to us is, oh, see, the devil's out to attack us. It's this persecution. But then the hypocrisy is that to the members, Father Bing would tell us, we have to practice absolute obedience to the letter, execute it promptly, and no question. You have to shut your mouth. Whereas when he's being told, you're not allowed here, you're not welcome here, instead of him obeying those I guess commands by those bishops in those certain locations, instead of him being a role model or being an example of how he expects us to obey, he'll then twist it and say, oh, the devil's out, and they're trying to persecute us, and we have to hide. And then now they start breaking church rules. So they start breaking church rules, and then for me, that's not Catholic. If you're going to say you're Catholic, then be Catholic. Then if you're going to be a Catholic priest, be a Catholic priest and do what you're supposed to do. Stop lying, stop committing fraud. But all this goes together with the end times. Because in Father Bing's reasoning, we are doing this for the salvation of souls, and the salvation of souls is the highest law. But yet they're going through all of these loopholes, or they're making loopholes, or they're making new names for their movement, or they're saying, oh, I'm not a priest, or I'm not a brother. There's this high amount of fraud and manipulation, and they put the members in a lot of coercion, especially like in my example. It's like, I want to leave. Well, if you leave, you're going to be cursed for all eternity, and your family is going to be hexed from generation to generation. So that is not a Christ-like movement. This is more of a movement that is looking for, I don't know. It's a very, I don't know how to word it, but I feel that Father Bing is using Catholic, and then just once you go to the retreats, it's about following him, following his devotions, following his vision. Now let's get deeper into the end times. So during my 11 years as a member, the feeling that I had, and I can't speak for everyone else, because Father Bing would say something in one talk, and then the next talk it'll be a little different. So there's never consistency. It's always like you have to, because we always had to have our journals, and every time he talks, we have to write down everything he says as if it is prophetic, some kind of prophecy. And so we write it, and then the next day he might say something totally, I guess, like very similar, but there will be slight changes. So his message is never consistent in his talks to the members. But I remember one of the feelings that I had for several years, and that this might have changed now. I'm not sure where he's going, but one of the messages that I got from Father Bing was that soon there's going to be a nuclear holocaust because of one country over here, one country over there, and then he'll show us videos. So when you're a member, a full-on member as I was, you are not allowed to watch television. You are not allowed to watch YouTube. You are not allowed to read the newspapers. You are not allowed free access to telephones. Everything is monitored, and every news is filtered through him or filtered through another um, superior who is in this movement, who is following Father Bing. But we always be in the retreats. We be watching a lot of news about war, destruction, and then so Father Bing would say that soon there's going to be a nuclear holocaust. And he'll show like clips of, I don't know, like this is a while back, and I had never seen YouTube, and this is like the first time I had seen YouTube. And he was the clips that we're watching is that there's going to be like a nuclear holocaust, and so that scares all of us, but that kind of reinforces our thinking that, oh yeah, everyone is out against our movement. They're trying to destroy us, especially Freemasons, everyone who's liberal, everyone is a communist. So it's really, what happens is a lot of the members were living in constant fear. Okay, not maybe not all, because I felt that some of the members had favoritism. Some of the members were allowed to go to missions and be with people. Some were allowed to be with their families, and that's cool. But not all of us had that privilege. So I'm bringing this up because some people are saying, "Oh, I didn't go through that." Well, good for you. I'm happy. Or they'll say, "Oh, that if what you went through, it's a one case thing." Maybe it's a one case thing, but how come that I'm speaking up? A lot more voices are slowly starting to kind of come to the surface. So it's not just me, but it's just odd how they treat members, and I'm still kind of trying to sift through this. But anyways, going back to the war and destruction. So one of the things that they started doing in Dover in the mission house was they started making the basement, they changed it into an end times basement. That's what we called it. Some of us called it an end times bunker or an end times dungeon. And it wasn't only in Wilmington, Delaware, in Dover. It was also in the Philippines during our construction, because we did a lot of construction there. And I'm aware that Father Bing would take the members would take pictures of us, working, and we're living in half-built formation houses. They'd bring those pictures back to the United States or back to wherever the mission is, and show the people pictures of us all thin and skinny and living in dilapidated households. And then the idea is, please give your money. Our Even though Father Bing would talk about the end times and how currency isn't going to matter, he still wants you to give your money. So it's like, hey, give your money because we're going to need it for this cause. And it's funny because of a few years, after I left, someone, I'm not going to say who, asked, how are those houses now? And my response was, well, I mean, they started. I went to this half built place in 2005. I left the community in 2015. And in 2015, it was not yet complete. So for so many years, there's this half built construction site. And it's like, where's all that money going? I don't know. It's just a mystery that's that's still there even for me. But that's the problem, is they'll bring all this fear and then they'll exploit the members. They'll show pictures of us, pictures of me, pictures of other brothers and sisters, all skinny, and say, please donate. They need your money. And then just real quick, I remember there was a time when we were going to take our vows. or pledges, whatever the hell you want to call it. And before that happened, one of the priests in the Philippines said, "All right, we need to make sure that you start eating more." And the reasoning behind this was because during the time when we take our vows, our pledges, it's going to be public. So many of our families are going to be coming, and they don't want our families to be worried that we're too skinny, that we're too thin. Because, I mean, the lowest recorded weight I was able to take was 115 pounds. I could have been lower than that, but there's no way for me to go back in time, and we didn't have access to scales. We didn't have access to mirrors because that was covered off. And you're told if you look in the mirror, you're committing a grave sin. So that was a difficult time. But think about it. They bring this fear. They introduce this fear. They introduce how money is evil. Then they show pictures of these young men and women in this religious life, and there's pictures of us all praying. That's awesome. But then they're exploiting us, and then they're telling you, "Oh yeah, this money is going to go and feed them." I mean, they would tell us, "Look at other people. Look at other seminarians. They eat every day. At least us, we fast. We fast Monday, Wednesday, Friday." And then I remember one of the superiors would say, "Wow." So it was you're put in a world where if you speak up, if you say, "Hey, I want a meal," it's, "Oh, you're gluttonous." God, Brother Joseph, you want a meal? Oh my gosh, you're going to go to hell. Well, that's the devil. That's the devil's infestation. So there's um, all this chaos that's going inside the community. So cults want you to see the chaos going outside, but the chaos that's going inside, you're supposed to be blind to it. And we were, because of all of the malnourishment, sleep deprivation, all the extreme discipline, all of the punishments, all of the obedience. And you're trained that if you don't obey right away, that it's going to be a mortal sin. Mortal sin meaning that if you die right now, you're going to go straight to hell. Now going back to the end times dungeon in Dover, Delaware, they had the basement. But to open, okay, you open the door and then there's the steps leading downstairs. But they changed it. So when you open the door, and now it looks like a pantry. And underneath there is like a trap door where you just lift it up and you go down, and it's the end times, and do have like bicycles. So we'll be riding our bicycles supposedly to keep the battery, the electricity running. That's the idea. And so there's like there's a wall of food that is all canned. We have our water, we have everything stored, but it's for the inevitable end times scenario. And the thing what happened with Dover was that we got kicked out by the bishop. But before that even happened, I remember Father Bing was saying stuff like, "Oh, like the church, they want to take away our property." So already, it's this us versus the mentality. But I think that there needs to be some sort of evaluation. Uh, so it was, they want to take our property. So what we're gonna do? And he said this is his stuff. He would say stuff like, "We need to make another a foundation." So this foundation is going to be made up of third orders or people who are behind his movement, so that, let's say the diocese kicks him out. Father Bing's idea was that once Father Bing is out, the diocese is going to take his property. And I have spoken to anonymous sources from the diocese, and the response is no. There's no, why the heck. It's like, why the hell are we going to take the property? Like, we have other stuff. We have other stuff to worry about. We're not worried about that. We're not concerned about that. But that was Father Bing projecting his paranoia on the members. So he would say, "Okay, we're going to have this foundation, and so this property is not going to belong to the Alliance of the Two Hearts. It's going to belong to the Cor Jesu Foundation." and he would give names. I can't name these people because maybe I feel bad for them. I mean, but that's the fraud. He's trying to do these things where, okay, now the idea is if the church kicks us out, his way of thinking is we can still go to these, like, it's like a house. It's not a house of the diocese. It's just a house of a foundation of third orders of regular people, and we can still celebrate mass there. We can still hear confessions. We can still do our thing. But this is like a mental gymnastics, and for me, it's just, again, I'm using this word like a broken record, fraud, because you're still in the diocese, Father Bing. You're still in the diocese of Wilmington. You're still allowing members to go there. You still gave obedience to priests to go there and to pretty much go against their conscience. Because I feel bad for those priests who were under Father Bing, because they're given obedience to go there to live in secrecy, and you're telling these young men and women that, oh, everyone is out to get them, everyone is watching them, and that now they stay in Dover and they'd hear mass, they'd hear confessions, but they're violating uh, what the church is prescribing. So if you're not Catholic, you're like, what's the issue here? I mean, the issue is that Father Bing is really taking something that people like me, when I joined, we found it to be sacred, our faith. We find it sacred to practice our faith freely. But now he's bringing in all this fear, and now people are like, oh, why are so many ex brothers and sisters bitter, or why are they angry? And it's not that it's not bitterness. It's just that so much fraud happened. It's that a lot of our families gave money, and another thing, a lot of our families did give money, and sadly, when our families came to visit, many of us were told, you can't speak to your family, obedience, or you have to ignore them, because it's the end times and we have to be strong. We have to be detached. So I know I'm going all over the place. It's just so much to talk about. There's so much craziness to happen in this place, and no one else wants to really talk about it, it seems. So might as well tell my story. Anyways, going back to the bunker. So you have bicycles, you have end times food, all the canned food. Then you have I think they had like a well, or like we made like someone made a shower down there. So it was cool. It was like a little I don't want to say a hotel. It was like a I don't want to say Airbnb either. It's like a prison. I stayed, and the thing is that Father Bing gave me obedience to stay in this end times dungeon for 3 months. And the reasoning was because I had an argument with one of the sisters, which I think is foolish too. And that's another problem with cults. They want you to feel guilty even for standing up for yourself, for speaking up for yourself. And what does that make the rest of the members do? Okay, they see me as an example. I spoke up, like, to one of the sisters who was being a total bully. Like, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, back off. Next thing you know, I'm in the basement. What does that tell the other members? It tells them that if we speak up, we're going to be banished as well. And being banished is like one of the worst things. And I wasn't like totally banished. It was like Father Bing's like, all right, Brother Joseph, you will stay 3 months in the basement. Okay, that is your reparation for your sins. Okay, why me? And the funny thing is that when you're down there, for me personally, I'm always thinking, is the nuclear blast gonna come? And so now, Father Bing, going back to, I mentioned how, like, they would filter the news, and he would watch like YouTube, and he does a lot of reading, I'm sure. But one day he says, "All right, I saw this video. Everybody, we need obedience. We need to start drinking colloidal silver, because when the nuclear bomb starts setting off, colloidal silver is going to keep us safe." And I'm kind of thinking, like, are you serious, dude? And at that time I'm about 24, 25, I don't remember. And he's like, We got to drink colloidal silver. That's going to keep us safe from the radiation. Okay. Then, like a while later, it's like, all right, everybody, we need to start getting black trash bags and covering the windows. And our thoughts are like, why? And I mean, at least I'm thinking it. And he explains that when the nuclear bombs start blowing up in all these different cities and near us, everyone's going to be wiped out. The only ones who are going to be safe are those who are living in bunkers, and those who are going to be in the bunkers or in their bomb shelters are going to be like the enemy. They're going to be the communists, the Illuminati, all this stuff, and like most all the Christians are going to be wiped out pretty much. But we're going to have our bunkers, and with the trash bags, what happens is we're going to be safe from a nuclear warhead. So that's how we're trained to think. And now that I'm out of that place, it doesn't make sense. But I remember someone did ask this. Like, how is a nuclear bomb going to be repelled by a black trash bag on the window? And the response is, ye of little faith. Maybe you're going to die, but the rest of us, we're going to be okay. Now, again, that's like a form of spiritual abuse. It's like you're doing these, you're creating all this fear, and members can't question, and then you're telling, and this wasn't Father Bing who said that, ye of little faith, but like this is how the members think now. They're thinking that they can't trust their families. They're thinking that they can't trust the church. They're thinking that every other person out there is evil and is infested by demons. So it is very sad. And the hard thing is that when you leave that place, it is very difficult, especially, being in isolation, being in solitary confinement, and, getting beaten for a while. It's kind of hard to just say, hey, what's up? I'm ready to live life. I'm ready to get a job. I'm ready to start a career. I'm ready to start a business. It isn't easy, but these are some of the mentalities that are pushed on the members, and I just thought it was time for me to share that part of the movement, because I've spoken about the shunning, I've spoken about many of the abuses, but I haven't spoken about that paranoia of Freemasons, of Illuminati, of everyone is satanic, everyone is out to get us, the world is going to end, but we have the truth. Father Bing, he has the true message. And the rest of the priests out there, the rest of any other religious group, any other movement, even though they might be good people, they don't have it the way I have it. They don't have this truth that I have. They don't have that devotion that I'm giving to you. So I wanted to share that, and I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you like to support my channel, The Truth That Heals Podcast, I do a lot of work. So your subscription really helps me out in building, hopefully something bigger. I'm doing a lot of work, but it is very stressful. I'm all by myself. Sometimes I just do this work on my cell phone. I have my little 2014 laptop here. And it's not easy. I'm not making a lot of funds. So if you would like to help me out or leave a donation, I have a links available in the show notes where you can give your donation, and it helps me out. It's like a tip. It can pay for my gas money, pay for my my Zoom membership so I can do the interviews. All this goes a long way, and it helps me out. And for every dollar, every penny, I'm very thankful, and I appreciate it. Hope you all have a good day.